Hi guys, I just wanted to do a quick review of this book, which is called 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. Now, I have already done a written review for this, but I also wanted to do a video review because there are so many things I wanted to say about this book and I didn't feel like I really got it all down when I wrote the written review. So I thought maybe trying to speak the review would be easier. So 13 Reasons Why was published in 2009 in Great Britain, but was published in America in 2007, so this is quite an old book now. But when I was recently looking for more YA fiction to read, this was the title that kept popping up over and over again, and people were saying how much they'd love reading it, people were saying how good they thought it was, how they thought it was a really, important book in the YA genre. So I thought, okay then, I'll read it. So I borrowed it from my local library and I started reading it and I was absolutely hooked, and I then finished the book. I sat down and I gave it 5 stars straight away because I thought, that is it, this book deserves 5 stars. Really enjoyed it, thought it was really well written, loved the message it gave off. But then I went on to Goodreads and I watched a couple of YouTube videos about it, and it was weird because a lot of people didn't agree, and things that they were pointing out and things that they were talking about in the novel made me a bit angry, some of them made me a bit confused, and I just felt a bit annoyed really that people hadn't really understood what I think Jay Asher was trying to write when he wrote this book. Now, I'm not saying by any means that, I'm right in this and that I know what Jay Asher was writing is exactly how I feel, but I kind of feel that what I've taken from it is probably the message that he was trying to get across rather than the message that other people are seeing. So I'll just give you a kind of quick overview about what this book is about. There's a girl called Hannah Baker who has committed suicide, and she has, before she died, she recorded on cassette tapes, she recorded 7 double-sided cassette tapes about the reasons why she died, or why she killed herself. And there are 13 people in Hannah's life that are reasons why she killed herself. And on each of these sides of this tape, she's given half a side of a tape to every person that has been a reason why she killed herself. And these tapes are going round from person to person in this group of 13 people, and the tapes have just stopped at Clay's house, and Clay is our narrator, he's our main character, and he gets home from school one day, he finds this box on his doorstep, he goes into his bedroom, opens the box and finds this set of cassette tapes, and he doesn't know what they are, so he goes down into his garage and he finds this old cassette player, he starts listening to it, and then he hears the voice of this girl who is dead, and he hears what she says about the fact that these are the tapes that she recorded just before she died, and if you are listening to these tapes then you are one of the reasons why I killed myself, and you have to keep listening, and if you don't pass these tapes on to the next person in the line of 13 people, then the tapes will be released to anybody who wants them, and then people will get in trouble, and everybody will know that you're one of the reasons why I killed myself. So basically she's blackmailing people from the grave, if that makes sense. She's trying to get across to people what they did that then influenced her decision to end her life. And there's the tagline was what got me. It said that there are 13 reasons why your friend died. You are one of them. That obviously struck me straight away. And I just thought the premise sounded so interesting because, what if you could find out why someone killed themselves? Because often with really horrific cases like suicide, there's not always a reason. We don't always know why somebody's done what they've done. So I was really interested because if being able to know why somebody killed themselves and know exactly what the reasons were was going to be quite interesting and quite revealing. But I've heard some people say how they thought that the reasons that Hannah killed herself were quite petty and were things that most teenagers face. And if you take them as isolated incidents, and yes, I would agree, it would be pathetic to kill yourself if you gave somebody a lift to a party, but they were just using you for that lift. Yes, it might be pathetic to kill yourself over perhaps somebody standing you up on a date, say for example. But this isn't what this book is about. It's even mentioned in the plot that this wasn't just isolated incidents, it was a snowball effect. So once one thing had happened, she got a reputation, something else happened and added to that. And it snowballed and snowballed and snowballed until she felt she could no longer cope because she didn't feel like she was the person that she was. She felt like everybody else in the world saw her as this person that the other people around her had made her out to be. And that, I think, is why I got angry because people hadn't seen that that is what it is, because suicide is not something, I mean, I am really, really passionate about mental health and about suicide and all these kinds of things, so I'm not going to start getting on my high horse and talk about suicide in that sense, but I just wanted to kind of say that suicide is a really serious topic, and it's one that affects a lot of people, and it's something that we shouldn't take lightly. And there are people suggesting that in this book, the author Jay is actually saying to people that if your life gets too tough at secondary school, just kill yourself. And that is not the message that Jay is trying to get across at all. That is not what he wrote this book for, and I think he would probably completely and utterly disagree with anybody who said that. The reason why Jay wrote this book is because Jay wanted to show people that there are things that you can do to others that, even though they might not seem big to you, and even though they might not seem as though they're really dangerous or nasty things, to somebody else, that might be the thing that sets them over the edge. That might be the thing that ruins their life. And we don't know that, because we never know what's going on in other people's lives around us. We never know the effect that our words and our actions might have on other people. And this is the reason why he wrote this book, because he wanted to show these 13 people in this book that each of the things they did, even though as an isolated event, it wasn't maybe that bad or wasn't enough for her to warrant killing herself, it was one in a chain of events that led her to be not wanting to live anymore. And I think that's the point that people have missed. People have missed the fact that that is the message he's getting across. He's getting across the message of, make sure you think before you talk to people. Make sure if you see someone that's lonely or see somebody that seems a little bit down, you kind of ask them and make sure they're alright. You don't just then leave them standing in the school corridor and just walk past them. You kind of make sure they're alright. And it just angers me that people can't see that aspect of it, and that people think that Jay is just suggesting that when things get hard, kill yourself. And the way that people are saying that the character of Hannah is kind of, she's not likeable and she's too happy, and again I disagree. I don't think that we are particularly meant to like Hannah. I mean, yes, she's a flawed character, as they all are, but I don't think Jay again set out to make us really warm to Hannah. I think we're supposed to see her as kind of a, almost as a shell or a kind of a metaphor or a person who he's telling a million different stories through, and I think that that's what we kind of need to see her as. She's not just this one character who's flawed and is killing herself. She's representing all the teenagers all around the world who have been in this position, and I don't think a lot of us, if I would have been in that position, I don't know if I would have liked Hannah. I don't know if I would have wanted to be her friend, but I sure as hell wouldn't have done the things that other people did to her to put her in that position where she didn't feel like her life was worth living anymore. And yeah, I just don't really see how people can not see that aspect of the book. And also with the characters as well, they were saying that she was too happy, and I don't mean to be quite like macabre and a bit morbid, but if you were about to kill yourself and you had the chance to finally tell those people who were the ones that made you do it why they did it and what they'd done to you, I think I'd probably be a little bit happy. I'd probably be relishing the fact that I could tell these people and know that once I'm gone they're going to have to live with it for the rest of their lives. I'd probably be a little bit happy too. And I don't think that means because she's happy and she's kind of a bit more cheerful than she should be if she's about to kill herself, that makes her any like a bad character. I just think it makes her human. And this book is really well written as well. I mean, people have also commented on the fact that the way that it switches between narrative voice, because we're listening to Hannah but we're also listening to Clay's thoughts in reaction to Hannah, and a lot of the time they're kind of they come into each other. So I don't know if you can see here, but Clay's thoughts are in the normal font, and then Hannah's are in the italic font, and they kind of cut across each other all the time. And I've heard some people say that was really confusing for them and they didn't like it and they had to keep rereading bits. And in the beginning it did take a little while to get used to it, but after a while I just kind of really easily slipped between the two narrative voices, and as it raced towards the end, when everything was kind of building up and building up, I didn't even stop to think about that. It just kind of flowed naturally for me. So again, I find it hard to agree with people on that, but you know, again, personal opinion and whatnot. But yeah, I always think with books that we always have the chance to enjoy a book or not enjoy a book, and we always have the right to either like a book and want to recommend it, or not like a book and suggest that people don't read it. And I also think that everyone's entitled to their own opinion when it comes to books, and whenever anybody reads any book, you're always going to take your own things from it. You're always going to take something different to everybody else. But the thing is, when it's a book like this, and there is a clear message that's coming across, but people don't seem to be really grasping that message, or they have taken the message and turned it on its head. It makes me quite frustrated, because that's not what the author's saying, and it's not what he's trying to get across. And it's also the same when now I've lost what I was going to say, because I just hit myself in the face and now I'm distracted. This always happens. What was I going to say? That, yeah, people shouldn't, people don't understand this book for what it was supposed to be, and that's kind of upsetting, because that's the way the author wrote this was not because he was promoting suicide and suggesting that's a good thing to do. He was just trying to make more people aware of the fact that suicide happens, and you need to, you know, be more kind to people and make sure that you look after people, and if you see someone struggling, to, you know, talk to them about it and find out if everything's alright, because otherwise we just end up in a situation like Hannah's, where things snowball and snowball and snowball and snowball, and then everything goes wrong and another life is lost. Honestly can't remember what I was going to talk about, which is really frustrating because it was an important point. I honestly can't explain. Honestly can't remember. Anyway, I'm going to tidy it up there because I can't remember what I was going to say. But yeah, I really want people to read this book and to see for themselves what they think of it. Don't listen to other people's reviews until you've actually read it. And I really want to find out whether anybody feels the same way as me, or whether people feel the same way as other people when they suggest that they didn't like this book for certain reasons and it was a bit of a strange read. I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars instead of 5 because I remember what I was going to say now. Right, what I was going to say is that I don't know whether it's a weakness of Jay's writing that he's left the plot and the narrative voice so ambiguous that people haven't actually picked up on the actual message he was trying to get across. So I don't know if that's a weakness within his writing, because if he was trying to get a message across, I would have assumed he would have done it in a really kind of succinct and powerful way. And the fact that some people haven't picked up on that and people are seeing it in a different light and reading different things into it, does that make his writing flawed? Does that mean he's done something wrong? Or does that just mean that he's written something that can be interpreted in many different ways? And I don't know the answer to that, because if this is a message that he's trying to get across so desperately and he's failed to do that because people don't understand the real message of the book, does that mean he's a bit of like a flawed book, or does it just mean he has written something so powerfully ambiguous that people can take whatever they want from it? I'm not sure. So that's why I gave it 4 stars in the end, because I did kind of think that that was a little bit of a down point to me, that if he had wanted people to really see the message behind this book, and if he wanted people to really understand what he was talking about, he would have made it abundantly clear what it was he was talking about, rather than leaving it open to interpretation and suggestion. So yeah, that's why I gave it 4 instead of 5 stars. But I really want people to read this, and I really want people to tell me how they felt about it, tell me what parts they liked about it, what parts they didn't like about it, whether they thought the narrative voice was good, whether they didn't like the dual narrative, whether people didn't like the author, whether people didn't like the message that was coming across. It would be really interesting to know, because I'm really this is one of the books that I really want to talk about in the future, because it's a book that it's one of the books that I've read in a long time that I've actually had genuine kind of really wanted to have a discussion and a debate about it, because there's so many different opinions about it. So if you've read this book, please let me know, and I'd love to talk to you about it. So yeah, 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. Definitely give it a read if you haven't already, and if you have, let me know how you found it. So thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed hearing my review about the book, and I'll be back very soon. Happy reading. Bye, guys.